I grew up in the 90s, and we had a lot of latchkey kids. A lot of kids that didn't have their dad at home, but they had a key, and they'd go to school, and they'd come home, and they'd make that pizza roll in the microwave, and they knew how to make delicious sandwiches and whatnot, and what time all the afternoon TV shows were on. And I used to feel bad for them, like, man, I feel bad that your dad's not home. That must be difficult. But now I'm older. Now you know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for the dads that missed out. Because it's a joy to be a dad. Amen. Listen, I don't want somebody to take my job, so I'm going to do the best job I can. I really like being my wife's husband. That's my job. That's my number one job I have. I want to do a good job of that. I don't want her replacing me. I don't want my kids replacing me. I love being your pastor. I really do. I really enjoy it. In 20 years, there has never been one day where I said, I want to quit. There's never been a one day where I said, man, these losers at RC, I don't want to be a pastor. Oh, you clapped for that? Should have clapped sooner, man. The third one was the worst one. Nevertheless, it's been a joy to be your pastor all these years, but I want to keep working hard so I can serve you well. If I serve you well, maybe I get to keep on being your pastor. But if I get lazy, if I get derelict in my duty, if I don't show up, if I don't preach and pray and do the best I can, you know what? Realistically, you'll find another pastor. You'll say, I wanted to be part of a group and that guy's not doing a good job. Or you'll be like those wandering sheep that follow the other sheep and just meow, meow, meow. We have to be like that sheepdog that say, hey, I have a job to do and I get to do it. And if I don't do it, the shame would be if somebody else got to do it. Today, we who have the opportunity to lead, let us lead well. The first way we lead well is by we know what's next. It's like the kid on the road trip. Where are we going? Well, we're going to go to the gas station. Then what? What do you mean, then what? We'll be back on the road. And then what? Well, what do you mean? And I know what they're angling at. They want to go to McDonald's, all right? Well, I guess then we'll go to McDonald's. Yes. And then what? What do you mean? And then what? We're going to need gas again, Dad? Maybe we'll get some more snacks? Yeah, we might. All right. Yes. And then after that, what? Then what, Dad? Then what? And I know what they're angling at. Okay, we can stop by Wendy's and get a Frosty. Yes. And then what? Well, and then we'll be there. All right. Oh. But it's always that question of what's next. And as leaders, we got to know what's next. In Proverbs chapter 4, verse 25, it says our eyes need to be straight up. Our eyes need to be focused. In Philippians chapter 3, the Apostle Paul says, I know one thing I'm good at. I'm good at not looking in the rear view. The past is the past, and I know how to move forward with my life. That's the vision. That's the direction I'm going. The secret of the Lord is with those that fear Him. God made you for a purpose. He made your family for a purpose. And we have to find out what that secret is. God, what have you called me to do? What am I going to lead my family into? How am I going to govern my family? How am I going to oversee? And God was going to wipe out Sodom and Gomorrah, but He said, but first I'm going to tell Abraham about it. God in time was going to restore the kingdom to Jerusalem, and there was going to be a restoration of 69 weeks in the book of Daniel, but He said, first, I'm going to tell Daniel about it. There was going to be a famine for 7 years, and before that there'd be a feast time for 7 years, but the Lord said, before I do this, I'm going to tell Joseph. What has the Lord told you about your family? That's the direction we need to get going about. In Acts chapter 1, Jesus had died on the cross. He had rose from the dead. He had taught for 40 days. And then He ascended in the midst of His disciples. And they were just oohing and awing like, wow. There He goes floating up into heaven. And as they're staring at this man who was crucified and rose from the dead, floating up into heaven, an angel comes and says, what are you doing? And they're like, what do you think we're doing? How often do you see a guy floating up into heaven? This is kind of awesome. And the angel says, didn't He tell you you're supposed to go somewhere? They go, yeah, we're supposed to go into all the world and preach the good news. We're supposed to go to Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. We're supposed to baptize and make disciples. And the angel's like, well, then you should start doing it. It's one thing to have a dream for your family. It's one thing to imagine what your family could be like. And it's another thing. Look at the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2. It says it like this. Get the vision from God. Write it down so it's clear. And so anybody can take it and run with it. In these days,